Hey, how's everybody doing today? This is Dr. Joe Martin with the Warrior Mindset Podcast. Today I have a special guest, Mark, and then we say it's like Valeriote, right? Yeah, try to say that one 10 times fast. But Mark and I have known each other probably, gee whiz, man, like it's kind of like right out of
4 years.
Yeah, about 4 years, right out. You know, you were like 20 years old, 19 years old.
I was 19.
We first 19, and when he first came in, as a patient. And we're going to get into some detail with his background and his story and whatnot. But just to give you a cue, and you've seen me do these podcasts already, he's on the other side of the wall here at the gym, training a lot of clients in calisthenics and functional conditioning. And as a young guy, we're trying to kind of pick his brain. And on the show, we're just going to kind of, he was 23 years old. This guy's got a lot of things going already. And I think there's a lot of young folks out there that would like to hear his story, and we're going to give him an opportunity to do that on, what makes him tick and, how he got to where he is so far and what his goals are in the future. But Mark, with that being said, just tell the audience a little bit, your background, like where you came from, all that good stuff, and, a little bit of foundation there, and we'll dig into it deep.
Yeah, well, first off, Doc, I appreciate you for having me on the show. I feel absolutely honored to be on here and share some of my stories and my life experiences so far as a 23-year-old, talking to a guy like you and having you as a mentor, is it means the world to me, so.
I'm glad to have you on, bro.
But my name is Mark Valeriote. When I first started, getting into the chase of the good, getting into the chase or going on that journey of what every man has to chase, or every man has to do this, which is you have the 4 pillars of success, which is, health, wealth, love, and happiness, right? And I learned that from, Tai Lopez. You hear that guy, Tai Lopez, where he's like, here in my garage,
Yeah.
So I remember as a 16-year-old, I once heard that. And he said, the 4 pillars of success and whatnot. And I started thinking to myself, I do want to have all of the fruits that life has to offer, It's like you don't just want to kill it in one area. You want to kill it in all areas. And at the time I was, as a 16-year-old kid, this is where it all started for me personally. And I was overweight, unconfident, there's no way I would have even hopped on a podcast, when I was 16, I was like,
When you say overweight, he's, on the camera doesn't show any justice, to this guy. He's definitely in great shape. 10, 20, 30, 50.
I was 190 in
bad shape.
Sophomore year, but it's like I was skinny fat and I was like pudgy, chubby, It was one of those moments where I looked in the mirror because all I did back then was play video games. Mm-hmm. And this is why I also have such a heart for the youth, is because there's so many youth out there. There's so many young kids out there who just don't know what to do with their time.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do with my time. I was just bored at home. So I played video games. And my mom or my parents really wouldn't they wouldn't support me unless I could learn how to make money from it or turn it into a career.
And a lot of guys do.
Yeah. And that's what I was like, dude, I'm trying to make $1 million playing Call of Duty, So that's what
Did you compete too? Did you get to that level?
Yeah, I started competing a little bit, but I started doing little online tournaments or online 1v1s for dollars and stuff, $1, $1.50. And it was if you played the $2 1v1, it's oh, dude, these guys are going to try hard for these $2,
Yeah, what's the other one that people compete in a lot that...
Dude, they compete in everything.
Yeah,
there's Rocket League, Call of Duty, Fortnite.
Fortnite is a big one.
That's a big game, yeah.
Dude,
I never really got into it like that, but
my son's a year younger than you, 2 years younger than you.
Yeah.
But he played Fortnite for a while too, and it's gosh damn, these guys make some bank.
They make bank, bro.
So when did you decide to tell yourself, nah, man, the video game isn't it? You're a little bit pudgy, like you said. What was that first? We're going to go through some sequences, in his life, because it's definitely pretty cool. But when you're at that, because hopefully we're going to have some people on this podcast that are going to watch this that are going to go, man, I relate to this guy right away. So, say 16 years old, a little bit overweight. where was that turning point from not video games to activity, if you will?
So there was a turn. I think I remember in my head, there's one day when, you know, like I got out of the shower one time and I looked in the mirror and I saw acne on my face. My teeth were all like yellow looking and like, you know, my face was greasy. My hair was greasy. Well, actually, I think this was before I got in the shower, but like my hair was greasy, right?
Thank God it wasn't after.
My hair was greasy. My face was greasy. I had acne. I had yellow teeth. I just didn't take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was going like this was jiggling. Like I wasn't happy with how I looked, dude.
Yeah.
I was just like, bro, like this is not it. This is not it at all. And then I still try to make it work though. You know, I try to talk to some girls and stuff, but they ended up kind of blowing me off and going after my friend who was in shape.
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, you know, once you get turned down by a couple of girls, you know, you're like, all right, you know what? I need to start doing some stuff, you know, like, so.
And that's really like, from your point of view, like society doesn't always look like that. You know, a lot of people just give up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They go, oh, well, just, you know, I'm not going to get the proverbial girl and things like that. I'm just going to settle in their life.
Yeah.
But which is ironic. And this is the thing about this Warrior Mindset podcast is every day you put on the armor, right? You put the armor on life and there's that point where, and ironically, it had to do with guys and girls and, you know, guy not getting the girl, the other guy getting the girl. And you're saying to yourself, oh, nah. That ain't.
At that point, when I looked at myself, I didn't have no armor.
Yeah.
My armor was flat, bro. So I remember when I started working out, I was like, nah, dude, like, you know, I started thinking back to when you have like the ancient civilizations, you know, and they're like the Spartan warriors, right? Like their muscles and everything, that was like their armor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? When they fight, they draw a little circle in the sand and they just go in. You know, they don't have no armor or weapons. It's just them, you know, it's like primal, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm going to work hard in this gym and try and earn my stripes. You know?
Where'd you go first? Like when you said you made that decision, we'll use the example 16. In town, we're in, you know, Fresno, Clovis, California. And and you went to high school here?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Fresno, California. I went to high school went to two different high schools. I went to Bullard High School my freshman year, and then my sophomore, junior year, I went to a school called Philip J. Patino, School of Entrepreneurship.
Oh, check.
So it was like an entrepreneurship high school. I was the first class that they tested. We were like guinea pigs of this high school. They taught us like social media marketing and web development and whatnot. So it wasn't until my sophomore year till I started training and I started working out and getting into calisthenics. Right now, currently, I've been doing calisthenics for about 7 years.
Right. And so when you decided to go to the gym, you said, hey, listen, this is no pun intended, but we'll use the, you know, those warriors, you know, from the Spartans and the Romans and whatnot, that circle that you actually, you know, you're outside the circle. When did you step in the circle and say, hey, okay, listen, you know, I got to get it going?
It was May 20th, 2016.
Where'd you go for your first walk into a gym?
GB3 on Palmanese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A big kind of gym organization here in town.
Yeah. So it was like a commercial gym, you know.
Globo gym.
Yeah, Global Gym.
Yeah.
Once I went with my buddy Gabe, my buddy Gabe, he's kind of who started me in the gym. You know what's crazy actually is, not to go off on a tangent, but
go anywhere you want.
You know Coach Jordan?
Yeah.
So I was talking to Jordan the other day, and Jordan actually taught Gabe some of the calisthenics stuff. Like he was training my boy Gabe, but I didn't know Jordan. And Gabe was the guy who showed me calisthenics.
Yeah.
And so with me, I'm known for calisthenics, you know. I haven't actually introduced myself, but yeah, I'm a freestyle calisthenics coach. I've traveled all around the world and competed for 6 years. I've been to Ecuador, Mexico, Miami, Venice Beach, New York, all kinds of different places all over the United States doing freestyle calisthenics, which is like urban gymnastics, handstands, flips, 360s.
A lot of that stuff start, do you think, from, like you say, you've competed at Venice Beach, you know, they get the parallel bars up there. A lot of the stuff start there, Was it more of a beach type of thing, or does it come out of gymnastics where they do the high bars?
Oh, dude, it's just calisthenics has been around forever.
Yeah.
It's been around since,
Yeah.
ancient times. But it actually wasn't until I believe the late 1800s when this dude, he actually invented apparatuses like the parallel bars, the high bar, the rings, and
Kind of where the
like
gymnastics
a couple
came out
other
of, too.
things. Yeah, it was first the gymnastics.
Yeah.
And then the freestyle game really started with started in New York and at Venice Beach or Santa Monica.
Gotcha.
And so in New York, you have these dudes that they're doing street workouts.
Yeah, at the park.
They're doing workouts at the street. So
Right.
before you can call a planche, or a muscle up, they're like, oh, can you do can you go over the bar? Can you go over the bar or whatever? Or can you do X amount of pull-ups? Or can you do a super leaned dip? That's what they're called.
Yeah.
The planche is like a super, like a leaned dip,
Yeah.
because they're doing dips like just looking like they're floating off
Yeah.
of the parallel bars, and so eventually that turned into the freestyle where they started doing like clap pull-ups and
Right.
back clap pull-ups and then 360 pull-ups, and they started doing like elevator pull-ups where they would like pull up off the bar and then grab another bar above it, like
right.
like the top of a playground structure or something.
Yeah,
and
where they have it elevated up.
exactly. And so these guys would just use the street as their training.
Do you think that's where the some of the Ninja Warrior type of competitions on TV you see?
That I think that's a different origin as the Ninja Warrior. Ninja Warrior, they all use calisthenics for their training though.
Yeah, they have to.
But they like one of my buddies, he does like a lot of grip strength training, like
because they do that in those competitions too.
I
right?
think the Ninja Warriors and the rock climbers are super similar. But Ninja Warrior is more so like they use, all upper body, pull-ups mostly. If you can't do a couple one-arm pull-ups, then you won't really make it in the Ninja Warrior game. But, I never competed in Ninja Warrior, but I know that you need a lot of grip strength, a lot of pull-up strength, a lot of core strength, and you need to be able to hit that warp wall.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you were so when you started with that, mainly GB3, 16 years old, 17 years old.
Yeah.
What then pulled you into the calisthenics aspect?
So I started going to the gym with Gabe, my boy Gabe, and he started having me do. He was like, "All right, let's see how many pull-ups you can do," and dude, I couldn't do any pull-ups, bro. Like,
yeah.
I could only do the half pull-up, so I could only like go jump up to where my arms are bent like this, and go like this.
Yeah.
And I would just do that. I was only able to do like 2 or 3. And then we would do like push-ups. We'd do like archer push-ups and stuff. And then
progressions.
Yeah. And then he started showing me these videos on YouTube, like the Bar Brothers or the Bar Stars. Have you ever heard of them? Yeah. So Bar Brothers is like, it was like this group or like this elite calisthenics crew that they were on YouTube, and they had hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they sold their own online workout programs and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And all of these dudes were just jacked. I was like, I remember looking at this video and I was like, dude, this is how you look when you do calisthenics? Like, there's no way.
Sign me up.
I was like, dude, like, I'm down. Like, I'm trying to do a lot of pull-ups. Like, I feel like every calisthenic athlete, or every athlete who trains calisthenics, they're like, oh yeah, well, one day when I'm hanging off the edge of a cliff, I'll be able to do a muscle up over that cliff, and I won't die,
And they probably will.
And it's like,
because everybody you see these movies, you're like, that girl definitely can't get herself up from that cliff.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? And then we got some girls in here, your wife included, they're beasts. I mean, these girls are just making some dudes look just ridiculous.
And so it's like, here is more of like a functional fitness gym. And I remember when I first started going to the GB3, when I first started going to the commercial gyms, I was scared to go to the weights. Like, I wouldn't go to the weights.
Free weights?
The free weight section. Yeah. Like, when you first, I feel like every kid, when they first go to the gym, they're like, what do I do? You know, like,
oh, no,
I
100%.
feel like everybody's looking at me, or just not even kid, but like every person who just starts going to the gym. Like, I feel like everyone's looking at me. I feel dumb. I feel like I don't know how to do anything. Like, if I did start doing stuff that people would roast me or make fun of me or whatever, everyone's going to look at me, you know,
Well,
and it's like,
I mean, really, just sorry to cut you off. That makes a lot of sense, because then we go into the psychological aspect of things, where you know, self-esteem, right? So self-esteem, when you get into there, you're a little bit heavier type of young kid. First of all, you're young. You're 16, 17 years old. You go into something that is totally foreign to you because you haven't been there before. You're with a dude that works out pretty good. You see other people that are working out pretty good. That's why, you know, a lot of people leave and they don't come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's where, you know, we're starting to build that layer, you know, of that armor that you as Mark is putting on, with you persevered and go, all right, man, I know people, you know, are going to look at me or whatever.
Yeah.
You think they are. They're most likely not.
Yeah.
But you have that perception that they do. Really, you put that one little piece of armor on when you walk to that mirror where the racks of the dumbbells are, and you pull a set off. And you kind of, oh man, this isn't really that bad. Nobody's really looking at me.
Yeah, it's not that bad, right?
You know what I mean? So then you, like, when you started working out with your partner, like, did it just kind of hit you like, oh man, like, I gotta have this?
It was more so like, yeah, I mean, when I first started it just sucked. And I was like, dude, this sucks, you know?
With most people.
And it's like, but it's something that I knew that if I kept doing it and I made it a habit, then I would start it. And I remember telling myself, oh, once summer comes in, once school gets out, then I'm going to go hard. And then I had a second thought, and I was like, man, screw that, bro. Forget that. Like, I'm going to start right now. You know, I was like, I'm going to the gym today, and I'm going every single day.
Yeah.
Like, I literally told myself, I'm going every single day. Like, I don't care. I'm not taking any rest days. I'm not even going to slip. And I legit just went every single day. And we started going every single day. And I remember when I was about 2 weeks strong, like consistent, I went every day, you know, even on the days that I felt like crap, you know, I just still went to the gym.
Did something.
Yeah, I still did something, you know, I like just, you go in, you warm up, you work on whatever you wanted to work on for the day, even if you have no idea what to do, just do some push-ups, do some pull-ups, or like some squats, or do some core, whatever. I just went with my friend and did whatever he did.
Yeah.
Which that's honestly the best thing, is like, if you're someone who's first trying to get into the gym, find a partner or find a friend and that already goes to the gym,
a little more experienced,
and do what they do, you know, and just follow their lead. And one thing leads to another, you know. It's the journey. Like, it's not the destination, but it's the journey. That's 100%. Everything, you know. It's like, through that journey, you're gonna experience so many different things. You're going to meet so many different people. One thing's going to lead to another. It's the butterfly effect, you know? So it's like, I never thought in a million years I would be doing a handstand top of the bar and then doing a flip off of it and like competing in all these competitions. Never thought in a million years I would be able to do any of that. It was just one thing leads to another, you know, baby steps. You know, one of my clients says brick by brick. And it's like, and
also too is, you know, when you get that brick by brick, because that's how we build our life. And I use that example a lot of times with when I'm talking on the podcast or with my patients, in the sense that brick by brick, but then little by little, in order for the brick to stick, you need mortar, right? So the mortar is those people in your life.
That's a fact.
That, you know, so your training partner is the mortar.
He's the mortar,
And then the brick goes on top of that. So when you get, say, for example, you got done with him. So your buddy, you know, you get done with him, we progress a little bit longer. Is he still in, is he still in town?
Yeah, he's still
so training.
Yeah, he went to college. He got his degree in kinesiology, and he's like,
what's he doing right now?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, so it kind of like separated a little bit. Yeah. Which happens, but still, that's that piece of mortar that you could put a signature, you know, on your life. You know, you're building your life, and that's, you know, that's John Smith, that's Mary Johnson, and things like that. That mortar is important, but that you are the bricks. You're the bricks and putting it on there. Yeah. So when you guys kind of divided, like, because then he had to go to college, and then you had to kind of, were you left on your own, or did you pick it up, or picked up another partner?
This is kind of how it was. I started going with him, and we were going together for like about a month or so. And I remember I was like, "Hey, Gabe, like, what if someone could do this?" You know, like, went under the P bars, and I like held my legs out, and I was like, what if someone could do this? And I tried to do L-sit pull-ups on the dip bars, where I couldn't I couldn't even do it, but I was like, dude, what if someone was doing this? That would be crazy, you know? And then like the next day I see this dude and he's literally just cranking out the exact move that I showed him. I was like, bro, I was like, bro, look at that dude. And he's like doing L-sit pull-ups under the dip bars.
Oh, yeah.
Like this with his legs out and his legs aren't touching the ground. And I was like, bro, this fool's just like cranking him out, you know? And then me at the time, I had already had a couple of little moves like clap push-ups.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing ever was at the time was a back clap pull-up.
Oh, yeah.
Or a back clap push-up.
Yeah.
So I was able to do a back clap push-up, which, you know, once I first got that, I was like, oh, dude, let's go. I'm so cool. You know, like this is so cool. I do a back clap push-up. So I walk up to this dude, and this dude is literally the main reason I started calisthenics. Like I didn't really know what I was doing until this dude actually told me and exposed me to the whole thing. I didn't even know there was competitions. I didn't know there was like really that many YouTube videos. Right. I just knew Bar Brothers, and that was it. So I went up to this dude and I was like, bro, because I always saw him at the gym. This dude was the most shredded dude at the gym. He was the strongest dude at the gym because he would just bust out pull-ups. He would do muscle-ups. He'd be doing Korean dips, like dips behind his back on top of the bar, like 10 feet in the air. And he would do handstands. And he would do all of these crazy things in a regular gym where, you know, if you do that stuff in a regular gym, you're going to get eyes. You know? And at that age, that's what I wanted. I wanted attention. You know, I wanted, like, I just wanted to better myself, you know.
So, and I'll break on that. It's kind of interesting because, you know, I do talk to people, and I've been in the business a long time, just people business as a chiropractor. I've been a strength and conditioning guy too. It's funny because, you know, you as Mark hit a fork in the road when you were about 16 years old.
Yeah.
This is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because then what happens is Mark could have gone down the road, you know, of playing the video games, not succeeding mentally, physically, and whatever. But instead, Mark took the other fork in the road and is going down this avenue. Now look at all the things that are opening up in your life. You had the first guy that introduced you to it. Maybe if fizzled out a little bit, he had to do his college thing and whatever. Then you meet this other guy in the gym. Yeah. Right? And what they're doing is you're stair-stepping yourself. You're going up rungs on a ladder, and your success of where you're, you know, coming today, which is still only the infancy stages on what your possibilities are. Yeah,
exactly.
So who's this guy that you met?
His name was Jake.
Jake?
Yeah.
In town still?
Yeah, he's in town. Yeah. He trains at my buddy Gabe's gym.
Oh, Gabe's gym. Yeah.
It's another Gabe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, different guy.
Yeah, different guy. Yeah, he competes in reps and sets. So his thing is like doing 1,000 pull-ups in a day or something, or like, you know, he would just do the most reps. It's just that guy's a beast. When it comes to reps and sets competitions,
he kills it.
He kills it. You know, he goes up to San Francisco now and does those. But
got you.
We first met. We started training together because, when I first went up to him, I was like, bro, you're doing all of this stuff. You're super shredded. Like, your back looks like an alien. You have an alien inside of your back. So I was like, what do you do? Like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? You know? Yeah. He's like, oh, this is called calisthenics. And I was like, what is calisthenics? What is that? You know? And he's like, oh, it's like basically all body weight exercises. And I was like, what? Like, that's all you do? That. Yeah. I was like, that's all you do is body weight? He's like, yeah. And I was like, you don't use any weights? It's like, you know, I use weights here and there sometimes, but it's mostly calisthenics. And I was like, I looked at him, and I kind of thought about all the different athletes that you have. You know, you look at like
triathletes, you look like bodybuilders.
Yeah, you look at a triathlon runner. You look at a marathon runner. You look at a sprinter. You look at a football player, a soccer player. You know, and all these different people that, and then a gymnast, right, or someone who does calisthenics. And then you have the bodybuilder, obviously, who looks the best. You know. But when it comes to like, you know, I wanted functionality. I wanted to be able to move good. I wanted flexibility. I wanted to look good. I wanted to be confident. You know, I want all these things. It's just like, what avenue, which thing had the best, what do you say? Like, which one had the best
opportunities, best the abilities for you to accomplish what you wanted?
Which ones had the best things in it that I could actually
some people
get.
just want aesthetics.
Attributes. Which one had the best attributes, basically?
Because some people just want the aesthetics. Some people just like to be the runners. They don't want to do anything upper body. Some people just want to be a cyclist or a swimmer.
Yeah.
You know, in your case, you wanted aesthetics plus you wanted mobility.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well,
so this guy helped you,
so
get to the next level.
I was like, dude, I want to do calisthenics. And so we kind of me and Gabe already went to the gym anyways after school. And then we kind of just kept running into this guy over and over again. So we just started training. We just started all training together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember the workout routine he had us do was the hundreds workout.
Yeah.
Which was 100 pull-ups, 100 dips, 100 leg raises, 100 push-ups, and 100 squats. So 500 reps. He's like, we're going to do this every day. And we were like, for how long? He's like, we're just going to do it every day. And I was like, how long?
Until I tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Until I say no.
And bro, like we literally did that every single day. It's kind of like the Murph, but without running. Yeah. With like, So
you could start with a mild jog, and you can end with a mild jog just to keep the cardio. But I mean I love the concept, the 100 rep, because you got your, from a body part point of view, you got the chest, you got the biceps, you got the legs.
Yep.
You got the core.
Yep.
I mean, for the most part.
Usually, the main things you want in a full body workout is, or like a program throughout the week, is like push, pull, core, legs, and cardio. It's pretty much everything that you want, and so
he got you going.
Doing all of those back to back, and you just do it. The first time I did it, it took me 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I had to do it with bands. And then towards the end where I'm pretty sure, dude, we did it for about 2 months straight, at least 8 weeks straight. And it felt
Monday through Friday, or Saturday, Sundays included?
Every day.
Nice.
Like every single day, no rest. Like,
did you see a transformation body wise?
Within 2 weeks, like I remember I went like this, and I was like, what the heck? And I went like this. I was like, bro, I could feel chest muscles. Like I never felt a chest muscle on my body in ever. So I was really freaking out, and so after about training these calisthenics stuff, well, honestly, that was one of the hardest challenges I've done, was hitting the hundreds every day for almost 2 months straight. I think I remember we took about 2 rest days the whole time.
Within the 2 months.
Within those 2 months. Yeah. Like I remember my whole body was just aching, and I didn't even want to. It just hurt, but I just still went to the gym anyways, and we got it done, and what made it easy was it was simple, like you look at some of these workout programs, and it's good that everything is specific, and you have to do
isolation.
Like you're isolating certain things, and in a workout program, it's like super structured, and everything has its purpose or has its reasons, but for a beginner, that's why I really like calisthenics, because I was only doing 5 exercises. I didn't have to worry about going across the gym and hitting this and then going over there.
Pulling the dumbbells out, setting up the squat rack, the deadlift.
I didn't know how to do all that.
And one of the things, so from, the doctor point of view, same thing with your buddy, exercise science, background, undergraduate and whatever, that concept makes total sense.
Yeah.
Just in the fact that it's going to be very difficult for you to really hurt yourself, because it's your own body weight. You got to get yourself off the couch. You got to get yourself off the pot. You know, there's squatting.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You got to be able to, well, you're not really in a push-up position most of your life or whatever, but you're lifting, bending, twisting, turning in a job, a life setting. So if you're doing these to strengthen yourself, it's pretty good foundation to start off for any and it's not, believe me, 100 reps is not a beginner's thing.
No.
But the concept is there.
Yeah.
And that's what's good, because you're really not going to hurt yourself. When you overexert yourself with weights and above and beyond what your normal weight is, above and beyond what you weigh, there's definitely way more likelihood. So I think, where you started with that concept, man, money.
Yeah, it was fire. And since I was an overweight kid too, it actually, like, usually I tell people who are overweight, I'm like, look, if you guys do calisthenics and you're overweight, it's actually better, because when you think about it, every time you do a push-up, you're pushing your body weight, which is
way more,
a lot of weight. You're pushing your weight times X amount of reps.
Right.
So you're getting that cardio in while hitting some heavy lifting.
Push up with a backpack on.
Exactly. Yeah. And so by the time you stick with it and you drop a couple pounds by doing it, your muscles are gonna fill out.
Well, that's so let's just you kind of work with it from a point of view. If Johnny's 200 pounds, he's got a lot of heavy weight on him, and Johnny's doing 10 push-ups. But when Johnny loses 50 pounds, he's now 150 pounds. He should be able to do twice as many push-ups.
Or
he's stronger,
4 times, 5
whatever,
times.
Whatever the number would be, because now you have less weight on you.
Mm-hmm.
You're building some strength. Now, when you get to this, you should be banging out stuff, like crazy.
Yeah.
You know
So I started May 2016. I think I remember taking a picture of September 2016. So I was like 191, and May through September, I dropped about 35 pounds.
Is that the one that's on your social media? Is
I
it
don't know.
a cut picture? What we'll do for
I think it is. Yeah.
What we'll do for your, when we get off this, and my camera guy Frankie, we'll be able to get some of that information, and maybe we'll flash one of those up, during the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
because it is one of those things that is, when you guys see it, it's super impressive. I've been in this industry a long time, and weight loss, diet, nutrition, getting people in better shape along the way, and when a guy like Mark comes in and says, yeah, I lost, 30 pounds, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, come on, bro. You got to be kidding me, man. This guy's jacked, right? And it's like, yeah, it tells a good story. Honest to God, you see this picture, and we'll make sure we get him, set up to where it's, what do you call it, like a cross section of, before and after.
Yeah, side by side.
Side by side type of thing. It's great. And I've done that with a lot of people over the years, but here's a guy we're talking to, on this Warrior Mindset podcast, a guy that just, by himself, is now, as we're going chronologically through his life right now, in the short amount of years he's been on this earth, that he's, becoming very intelligent on, what he wants to succeed in doing. And then, I know some of the backstory, and we're going to continue with this too, on where he wants to go from here too, because he's got, some great insight on what he wants to do in the future too. So, but like when you finish with this other guy training from GB3s, when did you kind of break out towards getting out of GB3s to?
So we were training, like that whole transformation process. I was just chilling at the commercial gym.
Commercial gyms, yeah.
And, I would go to different gyms. I would go to the different locations and check them out. At this point, I was like, I fell in love with it. And I was still hitting pretty much going every single day.
Yeah.
I was still hitting it every single day. I maybe took one day off, every other week or something, and it's like, but just building that habit of going every single day. So at that point, at September, I was shredded. I had abs. I had like muscles, the bicep, the tricep, the chest, shoulders.
30 pounds total?
It was like 35 pounds.
35 pounds.
Yeah.
And then what'd you get down to? Even though it's...
To 155.
155.
191 to 155. So like, I think
and then,
it's 36.
what are you at right now? 2?
I'm 195.
195.
Yeah.
So and that was at, so here's the thing, what people don't understand is, here's what we're doing is we're breaking down in order to build back up.
Mm-hmm.
So where he lost, say 40, 45 pounds, that was to the best number because he couldn't lose any more weight because he would lose muscle mass.
Yep.
So, in that short amount of 6 months, 7 months?
Yeah, it was like 5 months.
5 months, say 6 months for argument's sake. 6 months, he's losing, 40 pounds. Say it was 5 months, he's 8 pounds a month. How to do that crazy math.
Yeah.
And when I, from a doctor, have patients coming in from a fitness point of view, I'm telling patients, listen, if we can do something gradually and slowly, you should be able to lose 10 pounds a month.
Yeah.
Right? Safely.
Yeah.
Because what people don't understand is, and you did it at a very young age.
If you're not cheating, if you're doing it right.
Yes, yes. And we'll get, before I finish this little comment, we'll get into the food part of it. But what happens is with people, when I talk to them about losing weight, people, what they want to do is they don't understand the concept of, if it took you, and I'll just use a numbers example, if it took you 30 years to be 200 pounds overweight, just throwing numbers out there, 30 years to get 200 pounds, how can you realistically expect to lose 200 pounds in 5 days? I'm exaggerating. I'm being silly on this, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I tell people, not that you're going to kind of make them feel, listen, for every year you put on 10 pounds, you got to get at least a month worth of workout.
Yeah.
To lose the 10 pounds. So if you're
That's
200,
true.
if you're 100 pounds overweight, right, 10 pounds a month, it's going to take you 10 months. People come into you as he's a trainer. We'll go into that at the end. You know, his training skills and what's available in our gym and online. He does a lot of online training also. But what happens is people over expect from what they think they can do.
Yeah.
you and I are both motivated guys. We expect people to listen to us. But what happens is they overestimate their ability. They think because they're starting today, they're going to be rock stars right away. Wait a minute, 20, 30 years of being lazy, you can't turn the switch right away. It's going to take you a while to build that up.
Yeah.
So if you say, listen, Mary, we're going to come on as a client and you want to lose, 100 pounds, that's great. We'll probably can be able to do this in about 10 months.
Yeah.
What happens is clients get pissed off.
Yep.
And you're like, they become unrealistic because they tell you like, well, I want to lose this by the wedding next month. You're like, what? By a wedding next month? You better be kidding me. How long did it take you to put this weight on? Oh, 25 years. And you want it off in 3 months?
Those are the clients that slack the most, bro. I swear.
They do.
They're like, oh, I want it at this time. Yeah. I'm like, all right, well, you got to do this then. And they're just like,
so if we sit down, if we sit down with the clients and we just tell them, hey, listen, okay, here we go. Right, you're 60 pounds overweight, and we would like to be with you. We set you up a program for 6 months, and they look at you sometimes like, "Why is it going to take so long?" You go, "Well, first of all, look at yourself in the mirror, and how long did it take you to put that on?" You put it back on the patient or the client, right? Yeah. And then you go, "Listen, the average 10 pounds, maybe 12, maybe 8, between 8 and 12 pounds. If you do things correctly, and you, like you said, follow the plan, monster results can happen to 99% of the people."
Dude, have you ever seen that Netflix series called Fit to Fat to Fit?
I've heard of it. I don't know if I...
So there's like these bodybuilders and they hire these clients and they're like, 60 pounds overweight, like you said, overweight. Right? And these trainers, they literally put on the 60 pounds. All right, let's say this client, he had to lose 120 pounds.
Oh, fit. Okay.
So while one of the clients was dropping 60 pounds,
he was trying to gain.
He was gaining the 60 pounds, like eating pizza, Domino's, like, eating crap, not working out,
but training his client to get fit.
He's training his client while eating a pizza or he's like eating all this crap, and he gains 60 pounds. By the time he gains the 60 pounds, his client loses 60. And then they both lose the next 60 pounds together. Yeah. But dude, it took him a long time to still gain that weight.
Yeah.
Even though he was eating like all this trash, but this dude, he was working out every single day for a long time. Yeah. So it's gonna take his body a lot.
Well, and also too is I don't know if there's no science behind my concept here, but we use the term and you've used it, a million times before. We have 3 different types of body types.
Ectomorph,
meso, and mesomorph.
Yeah.
Right. But you said it took this guy a long time to put the weight
on.
Put the weight on. Myself personally, with the years of experience, I find it easier for people to lose weight than gain weight.
Oh, absolutely.
People will argue with us because the society is everybody's overweight.
Well, I think it's easier. It's harder to gain muscle, but it's easier to gain fat. I mean, for me though, like for you, it might be harder to gain weight, but for me, dude, if I slack, like when I went to me and my wife, we went to the Philippines.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, the food is so good over there.
I gained 15 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I wasn't working out because we were on a specific
mission.
We were on a mission trip, right? So I couldn't really just go to the gym or do things. I was trying to do burpees in the hotel, but it was just literally I was in the hallway outside the door trying to do burpees and stuff. But I was like, nuts. I was like, dude, this is not I'm not about to do this. So
and that's a great point that you make because I'm more of that ecto, and so a lot of times too, people are combinations. You can say if we had to think of each body type, ectomorph is very thin, marathon runner. So if you close your eyes, you think of a marathon runner, you can think of the body type. Mm-hmm. The mesomorphic person, which is more muscular, but I tell people, you can't look at it what they look like now. You can't say the bodybuilder technically is a mesomorph. You take it back to, say, prepubescent.
Where they started,
they hit puberty. Yeah. Exactly. So you ever had that kid that so from junior high, from 8th grade, Johnny then has the summer off. Johnny all of a sudden comes back freshman year jacked. Big old shoulders, big old biceps, legs are bulging and whatever. And you ask Johnny, what'd you do over the summer? Nothing. That is a typical mesomorphic kid because he's hitting his genetics. And the dude is gifted, right?
Yeah.
And then the endomorphic body is like the typical guy you would see in high school that's your offensive lineman.
Yeah.
The Nebraska hay baler.
Yep.
Right? But everybody's a combination of one or the other.
Yeah.
Now, you can't be ecto and endo.
No.
But it's always the one or the other.
Yeah.
So with me, I'm more of a ecto-meso, the lean body. If I didn't eat
Yeah.
You know, I get skinny as hell.
Yeah.
You, if you eat just a little bit more than I do, you're putting on the weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dude. That's why it was so hard though. Cause I mean, like some of my background, I'm Italian. My whole family is Italian.
Well, your dad's a big dude. We'll show a picture of that. He's jacked.
He's not like jacked, but like he's big,
thick.
you know,
He's thick.
and
Endo.
they used to call him, or he has like some nickname back then. He used to be a firefighter. And so he told me this story about one time when he was trying to pull the hose, because they're like, oh, you got to pull the hose. He's like testing or something. He's training. And he's like pulling the hose as hard as he can. And then he said like the hose stopped, but he just kept pulling, and he ended up pulling the truck, bro. Like like he started pulling the truck.
And everybody's just messing with him.
Everyone's like, bro, what are you doing? Like this fool's pulling the fire truck,
they told me to pull the
So this dude's
the hose.
He's a horse, bro. Like he's strong as a horse, you know?
Yeah.
And I inherited that from my dad, you know, but see, like if I stopped working out right now,
fluffy.
In a month, bro, I'd have a belly. I'd have a beer belly and stick out, and like
let's say they give me crap here in the gym all the time, because if anybody asks, hey, what does Doc eat? And you could probably answer it.
Well, what you eat and what someone else would eat, their body would react differently.
Yeah. I eat tuna, fish, and rice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I can put easily 3 cooked cups of rice. No wonder why I don't have diabetes. And rice is very good carbohydrate.
Yeah.
But it's like 3 cups of rice 2-3 times a day. And I just put tuna in it. I could eat it for, I swear to God, I could eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
No way, dude.
But so I stay
That's
very,
how you
very
do
lean.
it, though. That's how you have to do it. I mean,
but then what happens is, I think, the military, gave me that mentality just from a motivational point of view, spending, my 6 years in the military in the SEAL team, that it just gave you a mental capacity, to just kind of push through, whether it was then getting out of high school, out of the military, going to college. It was just like one of those perseverance things. I wasn't the greatest student, but I persevered. I went through it. I'm trying to gain the weight. Now, you'll tell me, well, Doc, if you want to gain the weight, you got to eat the burgers and the pizza too. But I'm not a guy that likes that food.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's hard for the gains as compared to you.
Well, see, I feel like when it comes to gaining weight, I me's of my clients always have them do like a lean bulk.
Yes.
I never really just be like, okay, you need to eat 4,000 calories right now.
What.
It's like they're just not going to be able to stick to that, especially
just eat
like
mayonnaise out of a spoon.
Yeah, nah, dude. Like that's ridiculous, But it'll just be like, hey, let's just stick to this little diet right here, like more of like a deficit type thing. And then you just up the calories each week, up your carbs and fats each week until you're at a surplus.
Yeah.
And then once you're at that surplus, then by the amount of weeks it took you to get to that surplus, then you're like, oh, well, now I'm used to eating this much food every day because, I did it week by week rather than boom, right out the gate eating 3,000 calories.
Yeah,
it's like,
your body's never going to eat that.
Yeah. And especially for guys who are ectomorph, right?
Yeah.
They like, if I was to eat the same diet as Johnny, who's an ectomorph, right? He's more of the thinner side. It's hard for him to gain weight. It's easy for me to gain weight, but it's like, it's easy for me to gain weight and to lose fat and to gain muscle. So like it's easy in all areas, I would say.
Yeah. Where a typical ectomorph is going to have more.
It's hard to gain weight, period.
Yeah.
Fat or muscle. But like, let's say we both eat the same thing. We both eat some Takis, or we both eat some burgers or fries or chicken wings or whatever it is, right? He's still not going to gain any weight from eating that. His body, he's just screwing up his insulin.
Yep.
Right. He's just like his insulin's just completely jacked up, and he's just not going to gain any weight.
Yeah.
Where for me, I'm just going to gain all that weight. I'm going to gain all that fat.
Different physiology of different body types.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like, once you clean up his eating, then his like insulin is like regulated a little bit. Okay. And then once you have a clean diet, then we're like, okay, now your body's actually working correctly.
Yes.
Now let's start upping your calories little by little, eating the right food. Like, you have to eat this many calories, but you have to eat the clean food and to get that many calories. You know what I'm saying?
You know what the interesting part about it is, you think psychology point of view. It'll take no effort out of patients, clients, whatever the case may be, to sit down and watch 3 hours of Netflix.
Yeah,
whatever,
that's true.
Right? But then you ask them to listen, count your macros, micros, put it on a little sheet of paper to bring back to you, their trainer, or me, the doctor, right? They're like, I don't have time for that. Or like, I don't want to eat like that.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to shop like that. But just sit in your house and freaking binge 3 hours of freaking Netflix or get on your computer games or whatever. So what happens is a lot of the fitness industry is not as much in the gym as it is in their head.
Yeah.
And that's the things that we have a struggle with our patients and clients.
Yeah.
Is we're almost psychologists as opposed to trainers. Because once we get the right key, to get their brain right, you got to get your mind right. You know what I mean? Or you reboot them, then it's a lot easier for these guys and girls, to get on the train, from the gain train.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And things like that.
The gain train.
The gain
like
train.
That. Yeah.
Yes, the gain train. We're gonna start coining that.
We're
one.
definitely on the gain train out here. Honestly.
Well, and it's funny because, like, with myself, just a couple of years older than he is. But it's like, and then you're working with people that are a little bit older, right? And what happens there is you gotta explain people. Life is reality, man. If as long as you live in reality, you can figure out how your life is going to go. I figured that out a long time ago. It's like, hey, listen. Prime example. I gave this a little talk one time on one of the other podcasts. There was a guy when I first got the SEAL team. His name was Rudy Bosch. He was on the first Survivor show, right? And this guy was 50 years old. I was 20, and I said to myself, and I was like, I was just out of buds. I mean, I had the obstacle course record. I was running a mile, in like 5 minutes and 10 seconds, like stupid things. I'm in shape. But I saw Rudy was still out there, 50 years old. He'd do the PT with everybody. He'd kind of do some of the obstacle course. He'd be on the swims because swim's a lot easier. He may not have to do the gym stuff because he's a senior guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, the guy was doing it. And I said to myself, man, when I'm 50 years old, I want to be in better shape than him. So the idea behind it is I didn't want to be as good as Rudy because Rudy was good. I wanted to say, okay, not for competition, but I want to say if I'm going to hit 50 years old, I want to be just as good a shape because when I'm there, I want to drag some more people behind me.
Yeah.
When I did finally hit 50 a couple of years ago, that I was in better shape, but then I'm telling myself, well, why don't I just keep going?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So my mind is, and the same with this warrior mindset. Every day I put on that armor, and that armor is, listen, I'm going to do it for myself because I want to be on the earth as long as I can. 2 is how many people can you help become more healthy? We're gonna make a T-shirt now. The gain train, because how many people can we get in better shape for that? So we're on this podcast with a guy from a warrior mindset at 23, 24 years old that has already kind of got the picture here and is progressing, through the people and the network that we have with this type of, program and whatnot. When you're finishing up at GB3s, with the next guy with the training, did you then jump ship to the other? Good buddy of ours that owned the playground.
Yeah, so dude,
which is great facility.
What's crazy is so it was me, Jake, and Gabe. We started going to this gymnastics gym. We started going to the gymnastics gym on Fridays. We call it Freestyle Fridays. So we would train hard.
Wait, how old were you then?
I was still 16, 17.
Because I think when you came in as a patient, 17, maybe 18?
I was 19.
19, okay.
So I was already been to Ecuador, Mexico, I was already doing all that when I met you. So I already had a couple years of competing under my belt. You've
been on that gain train for a little while, right?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
But so I was 16. We were going to the gymnastics gym. We call it Freestyle Fridays. So we train from Monday through Wednesday, Thursday, kind of rest a little bit or go lighter on that Thursday. Friday, we would just go all in, be like, I'm going to get all my strength, all my gains. I'm fully fresh. And we're going to hit some moves. We would try the 360s. We'd try the back clap pull-ups.
Nice.
And we'd practice backflips, and we'd practice all of the freestyle, the scary stuff. For me, it was so scary, dude. I remember when I first kicked up against the wall to do a handstand, I was scared out of my mind. I was such a scaredy cat. I was scared to go on the bar and go upside down,
so
just lift myself up, bro. It was crazy.
So when you got to do the push-ups off and you see them a lot in CrossFit type stuff. So kick against the wall.
Yeah.
That is kind of a weird feeling though.
It's so weird, dude.
When you put you got your back, your head against the wall, and your feet are on the ground, and then you got to kick your feet up.
It feels like you're gonna fall backwards, even though there's a wall right there.
Yeah.
So it's just really
like
weird.
I don't really
feeling.
I have to try it. And I have to to get me on that.
But like eventually, and this is why I think I'm a really good coach, is because I've been through those mental barriers, those mental blocks that you still have to work through. And it's like when you have someone who's gone from like that bottom, like that literally bottom of it, and then just inch your way up until you get to a certain point. It's like, dude, you can help with so many different levels and different problems that people have.
So I'll just, like, on a side note to that, to let the audience know is I personally feel too, is somebody that comes from where you did, that was, had a lower self-esteem, not that you did maybe, but like from the body wise.
Yeah.
And then you've become successful in your physique and your training. My personal opinion, and I've been, on this earth a long time and met different people, I feel you, because folks look up at it will get you social media information or whatever, and, just look at his stuff. The reason why Mark, I feel, is a good trainer is the fact that he came from where the self-esteem was low, the body was not the way he wanted to, and he has some very good success with a lot of his clients, as opposed to somebody who's got some genetic potential, hit it right away, in my opinion, takes a little bit for granted.
Yeah.
Some of those trainers, this is my opinion, that they do. And I don't think, it's my own opinion, that they're as successful if you were to do they call it like a meta-analysis, looking through research along the way. If you research the people that are successful, I think some of the people that came from not much,
like
from the physical, motivational wise, to the people that had it, the guys that become really good are the guys like you. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like those guys who, grow up with like such a bad upbringing or such a bad childhood, where like I didn't really struggle with much of that. I was blessed,
but the body is what you.
Yeah, the body, right?
You've been blessed with a family.
But it's like when it comes to success, right?
Yeah.
Or like being successful in business, or being a professional sports player, or whatever it is, right? So most of those guys, dude, they have a background. They got stories. They got backlash. All kinds of crazy stuff happening in their childhood, where they use that as fuel to the fire to then climb that ladder, and they don't care, because they're like, okay, if I try to jump over this hole, if I try to jump over and clear this bridge, right? If I miss, I'm still gonna be at rock bottom where I'm already at. So screw it, I'm just gonna go in, and it's crazy when I started competing in different countries. Like when I started competing at some of these guys, like in Mexico, Ecuador, dude, these like third world countries, and you see these kids and they don't have, like, dude, we're so blessed here in America. Goodness, it's ridiculous, you know? And when I went over there and I saw that, I was like, dude, like these kids, they don't have much, dude. Like they're helping their parents work, they're working with their parents, like at 5-6 years old,
wrod iron bar across two poles,
just trying to make enough money to stay in a little hut or a villa, and these kids go hard when they train. Bro, they don't care. They're willing to send it. They're willing to like risk it all.
And there's not always a mat on the bottom either.
Oh, dude, they'll freestyle over concrete. They'll be swinging on the bars over concrete, or in the jungle. They'll put they'll like wrap vines around the bar in between two trees, just doing what they can. Like it just makes me, I'm like, dude, we're so spoiled, bro. It's crazy.
And it's very humbling. So the idea behind a lot of that is we have to, and you've been fortunate. I was fortunate too. I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
And when I do come home, I get very upset, and we're not going to get political today at all.
No, yeah.
But, I just get very upset the way the people that live here never been out of their town.
Oh, dude.
They're going to have an opinion on what's going on in the world.
Oh yeah. We have sidewalks, bro. It's like most people don't even think about that.
That's a good point.
You don't think about like they don't even have sidewalks. No. Like, dude, it's just a different mindset.
Yeah, it's totally. So the idea behind it is we as guys that are influencers, or at least we're trying to be, just in our local little area or whatever.
No, we are. We are.
And that what we try to do is we've seen a lot, and you as a younger guy, now, matter of fact, at your age, I was in the military, so I was traveling all over too.
Yeah.
Yours is just competing. Mine was in the service. But I have a humble attitude, to what have in my life. But I also want to be able to try to elevate people on our shoulders, on our back, to get them to the next level. I don't want them to be where I am.
Yeah.
I want them to be even more successful than I am.
Oh, yeah.
So they have a better, leg to stand on.
Yeah.
And like you didn't have a terrible upbringing. We were low middle class and things like that. If you wanted something, you had to earn it.
Yeah.
Not earn it, go get it yourself. And I tell the story all the time is like in New York, my dad always had the big New York accent, and I'd be delivering newspapers in the snow. And I tell this story a couple times on the show where it's like, I'm like snowing, it's cold as hell. Hey, Dad, can you drive me for my paper route? And he'd be sitting on the couch smoking a cigarette, drinking a beer. He goes, hey, is it your paper route or is it my paper route? And I'm like, well, it's my paper route. And he goes, are you getting paid or am I getting paid? Oh, I'm getting paid. Well, then get your damn bike and get out there. If I'm not getting paid, I ain't getting out there in my car wasting my gas if I'm not getting paid, to that concept. So, I don't treat my kids like that, but I think it made me a better person.
Oh,
you know what I mean? And when you don't, come with a lot of things in your, in your life that you then appreciate what you have, but then you try to elevate other people. And, I commend you. And, on this show, it's great to have you on here in the sense that you're trying to, and we'll go into it even more, he's a guy that's trying to, elevate the next generation below you. And that's, that's definitely commendable. When, so now you're at the playground, you're doing that type of stuff there, you're competing.
So we were going to that gymnastics gym.
Yeah.
And it was at one of those Freestyle Fridays where I actually met, I didn't meet Lamont, I met my buddy Steve-O. And so I remember me and Jake were on the springboard. We were on the spring floor. We were stretching.
Nice.
We were looking over at these guys over here, and they were hitting double 360s and front levers and back levers. And calisthenics is a very small community. So when you see people doing those moves, you're like, oh, they do calisthenics.
Yeah.
Instantly you're like,
oh, camaraderie.
They do that. Yeah. So we see this dude with these dreads and he's just going crazy on the bars, just like boom, boom, double 360 front lever, holding it super straight, clean form. So it's him. It's another guy, this dude named Ken, who he's a beast on the parallel bars. And then you had one other dude, Omar. And so it was like 4 guys or whatever, and they were all practicing, just killing it. And me and Jake were like, oh shoot, it's like
another level,
another squad, and they were just like light years ahead of us. That's what it seemed like. And so I remember I just went straight up to them, just like I went up to Jake.
Yeah.
I went straight up to them and I was like, oh, so you guys do calisthenics, huh? And I was like, I think you guys do calisthenics, yeah? And they're like, yeah, we do a little bit of calisthenics.
A little bit.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
360s.
Cool. Yeah, and I was like, he's like, oh, can you?
Mark.
He's like, what can you do on the bars? Or like, we're just like start hanging out on the bars and stuff. I was like, hey, bro, you guys show me that double 360. Like, I want to learn that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. He's like, try it out. Like, show me what you got. And I remember I just went right up on the bar and I just did a 360. I was like, boom. And at that time, dude, when you're doing 360s, not many people had that move. So I thought I was like hot. I thought I was tight, because like a 360.
Yeah.
But it's like, now it's like, if you can't 360, it's like, dude, don't even like, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But,
so you did a 360, not a double.
I did a 360 and I try to hit the mixed grip, but the bar slipped out of my hands and I fell.
Yeah.
But like, we just started, we played this game called Bars where it was like horse.
Oh yeah.
But it was bars on the bars. So like one dude had to do a spin or one dude had to do some trick.
You had to copy him.
And you had to do it. You had one try to do it. If you didn't do it, you got a letter. Then, you got a letter. So we meet these guys, and these guys were called the Bar Gorillas. And so that was Lamont's team that he did, was the Bar Gorillas, and they invited us out to their gym, which is the playground. And so the very next day after the Friday session, on Saturday, me and Jake both drive all the way out to Clovis, which was like 25, 30 minutes. I remember when we first driving over there, dude, it felt like forever. I was like, dude, this place is far, And so we go all the way out here to drive 25 minutes out. to the playground. I remember when we first walked in there and we looked around, I was like, bro, it was like a winter wonderland,
it was a cool place
for calisthenic athletes or ninja warriors or movement athletes, whatever. And they just had bars all over the place. They had parallel bars,
ramps.
They had ramps. They had rings hanging from the ceiling that you could go across, like little ninja warrior obstacles, a salmon ladder. They had all the crazy stuff. And I was like, dude, we could get some crazy training here, and so that was the start of that chapter was, the playground, the bar gorillas and everything. And so I remember I got there around November. So like exactly,
17?
It's 2016 still.
Oh, okay.
So it was probably the end of the year, more like November, December. We started going there. And so we would go there every once in a while just because it was kind of far. And then I remember we did battles. Steve-O was kind of like my Steve-O was the guy who was training freestyle and he was training for competitions and stuff.
Gotcha.
And so when you kind of, I was like trying to join the Bar Gorillas team because they had a show team. They went out to schools and did they did like demonstrations for kids, and it was just a really cool time. And so I went out to that gym. I was trying to become a bar gorilla. So before you become
it's like getting a belt.
Before you became a bar gorilla, you were considered a chimp. So they'd call you a chimp. So
that is awesome.
So me, Jake, and my buddy Gabe, we were all chimps, and they're like, man, we would just trash talk each other all the time. I'd be like, hey man, Steve, I was like, you ain't got no push-up game or whatever. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, where's your front lever? He's like, exactly. You're just like,
two chimps yakking at each other.
We would just thrash each other all the time, But Steve-O was the guy who would he would teach us the freestyle, how to do the 360s, the double 360s, how to do, the whoop-de-whoop 9,000 and all these crazy, that's not actually a move, but just all these crazy moves. He taught us how to handstand, how to do levers and all of that. Because at the time, I was able to do 5 muscle ups. Mm-hmm. I was able to do some clap push-ups and an L-sit. And then these guys are doing levers, handstand on top of the high bar where it's like 10 feet up and you're holding a handstand, just holding it on top of the high bar. I remember just looking at my boy. I was like, bro, I got scared. I'm not even the dude doing it. And I got scared. And I was like, bro, there's no way, but I remember I was just like, don't even trip on that. Just focus on where you're at right now and you will eventually get there. I was like, I'm not going to trip on that right now. I was like, I just need to get the handstand first. Yeah. And then once you get the handstand, then you go and do it on the parallel bars. And then you go a little bit higher up on the bars and then a little higher and then a little higher and then a little higher. And it's just a step by step,
Then you got to swing with a handstand.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just
even harder.
The main thing though, one of the biggest takeaways, from calisthenics or from this journey is like, if you never give up, then it's impossible to fail. Yeah. If you never give up, it's impossible to fail because you only fail when you give up.
And you don't get back up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I tell people all the time.
That's a true failure,
the difference between failure and success. The guy that's successful gets up one more time.
He keeps getting up.
Yeah.
And then also another thing I learned too is the longer it takes you to get somewhere, is the longer it'll take, the longer it'll last, basically. Like the longer it takes you to get somewhere, the longer it's going to last.
Yeah, because it gets solidified in your brain.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So it's like you see people, they do the surgery, right? They get the, what is it called? Where they drop like 100 pounds in a surgery.
Oh, yeah, gastric bypass.
The bypass surgery, right? And like most of the time they get that surgery, they gain it all back. Yes. Well, it's like, why is that? Well, it's because they took the shortcut.
Quick gains.
The quick cut. The faster it takes you to get somewhere, it's not going to last as long. Faster it's going to go.
Yeah.
So sometimes when people, they get wealthy, they get rich quick. They fall super quick,
It's
that's not the case all the time, but
is it the lotto syndrome?
Yeah, exactly. The lottery, right? People win the lottery and then
in a year.
Boom, it's just like they have no idea,
Yeah.
So it's better when it takes longer to get to the destination. And in this case, you learn it throughout the journey. You learn that it's not about the destination; it's about the journey itself. And so when you think about like it's about the chase and the journey, then it doesn't matter what the destination is, you know, because
always going.
Because if you think about the destination too much, you're going to have anxiety and stress because you're thinking about tomorrow, you're thinking about the future,
and you may never get there,
and you might not get there, you know. So you just got to be content and be right where you are at that moment, you know. Like I'm not focused on the high bar handstand just yet. I need to focus on just doing a handstand for 3 seconds, you know. And
it was funny you relate to that. That's a really good point, and I bring that back to like some of the military stuff in the SEAL team. You know, we got the T-shirts that we kind of have here at the gym too, and you know, as a former team guy, we use the expression with a lot of people we train and patients we see. The only easy day was yesterday. Yeah, because it's already gone. Yeah, right. Each day is a struggle. Each day is a battle. Each day, you know, there's one more mile on that gain train, one more tick on the clock. But yesterday's already gone. So why don't even think about yesterday because it's already gone. Was it tough? Yeah, probably. But the more the days go on, those days kind of dissipate. You don't feel it. Yeah. But each day is a struggle. Yeah. You know what I mean? Each day you got to move that brick one more inch, move that rock up that hill one more time. Yeah. You know, because I think when you become complacent, the likelihood of being more successful is a lot less because now you're complacent. You're sitting, you know, on your laurels and just going, you know what? I really don't feel like climbing up anymore. I'm good right where we're at. I'm not wired that way.
Hey, sometimes it feels like that though. You know, it's crazy because I remember I've had multiple times where I felt like just giving up or I felt like I was hitting a plateau and I just really wasn't getting anywhere. And I was just like, bro, like how many times am I going to go to the gym and do all these pull-ups and push-ups and not get my goal, you know? And you just feel like you're not getting anywhere, but it's like that thing of just getting up one more time.
Well, and also too is to me, like you said too, is, you know, I'm chasing a different, you know, gold ring than you are. You know, my chasing that gold ring right now is trying to stay one step ahead of the Grim Reaper. You know what I mean? This guy's got this. This guy's got a you know, a big black sickle, you know, ready to take my head off and say, you're coming with me now. And I'm like, not today, Satan, not today.
Not today, bro.
You know what I mean? And it's one of those things where, you know, like you and I swear we're gonna get a T-shirts made and things like that with Mark and I. We're gonna put the gain train because I may not be the guy that's gonna put on the gains that you are because you're a lot younger. Yeah. But I'm not stopping, bro. I'm not stopping because first of all, I want to have the reputation to where people go, man, Doc's in great shape. Yeah. I want to be like that. If I left this earth today, I would know that people have got their gains because they see people like myself. They got the guys that yours right now, and we'll kind of ramp your life a little bit faster here and go into what we're doing at the gym, because what Mark's got right now, and we'll kind of jump to here in a second, is he's working with some of the younger generation, you know, that he's giving them his experience in the short life that he's been on this earth to get these young guys and gals into shape so they won't have the problem that he had, you know, as being a stocky, you know, maybe not as motivated type of person, and self-esteem was lower, but bringing these young kids in and building them up, you know. So if we were to fast forward, like, you know, a couple of years and you did some competing overseas and you know, down south and whatever, so what made you stay? Like, how'd you stay with these guys at Playground?
So pretty much what happened
that kind of become your home.
I remember like the open gym membership was $30 a month, and we couldn't really afford. Like, I asked my mom, "Hey, mom, can I get this gym membership? It's $30 a month." She's like, "Oh, well, I'm already paying this other gym. Like, I can't pay 2 gym memberships." So I was like, "Damn." So I was like trying to join the team so that if I was on the show team, you know, it's a free gym membership. Yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. Like, eventually after a month, I joined the team. And so this is like 2017 now. And my first competition was 2017. And so we started doing all these demonstrations and all that stuff. I broke my arm. You know, it took me 3 months to heal. But while my broken arm was healing, I trained my one arm pull up. So I got a one arm pull up by the time my broken arm healed. Was
the other arm like, you know, bigger than the other?
Yes, dude. It was like, this one was swole and this one was like a deflated water balloon, bro. That's what it looked like, dude. But eventually, you know, I
it
learned
comes back quick.
Eventually I learned that, you know, once it started healing, I started getting my gains in, it came back.
Yeah.
But now it's like, if I injure something, I'm not going to train the other side because then I'm just going to offset everything. But anyways,
so there is something in physical therapy and training, just for a knowledge base, that if you have knee surgery and you do leg extensions on the good knee, you get a 20% crossover for therapy by that leg just sitting there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy the way they did that.
Oh,
it was a physiology research. I just remember, 20 years ago.
So it is better to work
do something.
out. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay.
Yep. The other one will get something. The other extremity will get something.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Okay. Well,
makes sense, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense, but
because I thought if one side is damaged, if you start working out the other side, then it's just going to get way too big and you're going to offset it and you're going to walk around with imbalances and stuff.
You're not doing one-arm 90-pound dumbbell, overhead presses. You know what I mean?
No.
You're doing therapeutic type stuff. So bicep curls, tricep push downs.
Makes sense.
Light. Repetition. Getting the blood flow and circulate. It's kind of cool.
Good to know.
From an injury point of view.
But yeah, so that was like my first big injury. That was when I first got injured, I was like just depressed. I was just like,
yeah, man.
Because that was my life, was calisthenics and working out. That was my life. Like that's all I did every single day, all day. That's all I thought about. That's all I dreamed about. That's all I ate food. I ate food.
Slept and
everything. Everything was calisthenics, working out. If it wasn't working out or doing calisthenics, I didn't care. If you're
sleeping.
If me and Kyle had this saying, it's called, if you ain't talking gains, then I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
It's funny, but so 2017 did my first competition, broke my arm, came back, started doing some more competitions and whatnot, like little ones, in LA and up north and whatnot, and then come 2018, I just kept doing competitions because if I had a deadline that I had to hit, I knew I had to stay ready for it, and I had to be on my P's and Q's. Because if I don't have a deadline, then you're just kind of like,
you have to have a goal.
You're just cruising, Whereas I still had goals and whatnot, but anyway, so I got to 2018, and I remember I was working construction. So I graduated high school, so it was funny because when I went from that entrepreneurship school junior year, I went back to my normal high school at Bullard my senior year.
Graduated.
So everybody saw me from freshman year.
Then you're senior?
They saw me go sophomore, junior year, and they saw me come back to senior. They're like, bro. They're like, what happened to Mark, dude? It was like, they see this chubby kid, who has
hair
all this acne and stuff, it just,
gamer.
It was funny. And then all of a sudden, everybody knew me or they knew of me because they just knew me as that one jack dude who's hecka strong.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's pretty much one of the things that I was working for because I had a breathing condition when I was younger, so I couldn't really play a whole lot of sports.
Yeah.
It's whenever I ran, I just started getting the worst asthma attack, So I was it was kind of unmotivating in that aspect too. But, I found my way. I found my thing. And so, so 2018, I graduated high school. I started working a construction job where I got there at 7 a.m., worked till about 5 p.m. Sometimes it was, it was about 9 to 12 hours of working. I dug holes. So I dug trenches and mixed concrete and, loaded the trucks, cleaned out the pools, scraped the pools with a shovel and did all the hard labor stuff. We'd go on the job site. I was the gopher. Go give me this. Go give me that. I'd go do that. Okay. I need a trench from this side of the fence to the other side of the backyard.
Yeah.
And all these people have money, so their backyards are so big,
5 miles long.
And I remember I'm an 18-year-old going to all of these giant houses, and I'm just one day, bro, I'm gonna have this, dude, and so
that's good motivation.
It's just I used it as motivation. I was like, all right, got to get my first workout in, and so. I used that job as my workout, and then, but I remember going home from work, all the guys were like, hey, Mark, you want to come hang out? I was like, nah, bro, I got to go train. I'm like, what are you talking about? We just dug all of these holes the whole day. And I was like, yeah, but it's not the same. It doesn't count. Like I had to actually get my training in. Like I got competitions to do, and they're like, what are you talking about, bro? And they're just call me crazy. They call me young Herc.
Yeah.
They call me Hercules because I was just like super big and I was shredded and I was doing handstands on the sandbags and all this stuff, or handstand when the wheelbarrows were full.
Yeah.
I did a handstands on the wheelbarrows. One time we were in the backyard and they had the bobcat and it would go up and down or whatever.
You'd be doing a handstand.
And I did a handstand on the bobcat and it would go up and down and I would hold it.
Yeah. This guy's got serious ADHD.
It was so funny.
He's digging ditches and doing, handstands off bobcats.
Yeah. So I would just do crazy stuff like that. Everyone would trip and I loved it, and so, but right after the workday, I would drive from Clovis to Fresno. I would change, take pre-workout, drive back to Clovis because that's where Playground was. And then I would train bars. I would start swinging on the bars, doing crazy combos, doing my statics, the handstands, the planches, the front levers, reps and sets, and core, which would take me about 3 to 4 hours. And then so by the time I got
home, it's like 9 o'clock at night.
By the time I got home, it was like 11 or 12. And so I would eat my dinner at 11 or 12. I remember on my Instagram story, like my mom, she would make dinner that night or whatever, and then she would just put the leftovers in there, and I would just take the leftovers, put in the microwave, and I would put on my Instagram story. I took a handful of spinach out of the spinach bag, and just like just
on top.
slap it on. I'd put I'd caption it. I'd put gains.
Yeah, the Popeye fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
the spinach on whatever was on the plate.
And so that was my everyday process: was go to work, dig trenches, do concrete, whatever it is. Go home, train for another 3 to 4 hours, go to sleep. I'll just do that every single day. And then up until I rolled my ankle, I broke my ankle, got caught in between two mats. I fractured it in 3 places. And then I think 2 to 3 weeks later, I broke my nose. So
did you hit a bar or something?
I try to do something called a kumquat, where you're like sitting on the bar and you pop your knees off the bar and do a backflip off of the bar and land on your feet.
And then you hit the bar on the way.
Yeah. And so it was funny because this time Lamont was like, oh yeah, we got this big gymnastics mat. You know those gymnastics mats? They're like this big.
Oh yeah.
We got one of those. They're like super long. You do like crazy flips on them. He's like, bro, look at this new mat we got. No one's going to get hurt on this. And then so we put it behind the bar. That's what made me want to do the kumquat because I was scared of the kumquat. But I sent it anyways, and I literally fell in the only spot where the mat wasn't covering.
No way.
And I fell on a 2x4 because it was on the ground. The rubber mats were encompassed with 2x4s. So I smacked my nose on a 2x4, fell in between the mats.
You face
planted, dude. Like 10 feet in the air, backwards, bam. Just on my face.
Beak.
I got up and I was like, oh, like this, bro. And I just had blood coming down, and like my ankles all jacked up and stuff. Or it was just a crazy time. But when I rolled my ankle though, or when I fractured my ankle in 3 places, that day I got a message to compete at Battle of the Bars, which is the World Calisthenics Organization. It's a professional competition in calisthenics, like my dream competition I wanted to compete in.
Yeah, where was it?
It was in San Diego. This one was going to be in San Diego. And I finally got a message because they saw me leveling up. They saw me you get stronger. They saw me doing crazier stuff. They're like, hey, are you down to compete in the Battle of the Bars? And I was like,
no, I'm technically down.
I was like, I kind of fractured my ankle and my ankle
next year.
My ankle's all discolored and everything. He's like, well, if you want to do it, I need a yes or no by today because that's when we're finalizing the roster. He's like, it's going to be in 6 weeks, so just let me know by today. And I was like,
I'll be better in 6 weeks.
All right, whatever, bro. I was like, let's do it, bro. So I sent it, dude. And so for 5 weeks, I just trained strength.
Yeah.
Just strength.
Pull up
5
bars,
weeks.
Muscle ups.
My ankle was in a wrap. I was crutching in, about to train for this competition. And dude, I just wanted it so bad that I just said yes. I didn't say no. I didn't care if I got injured in the process because, you know.
So real quick on from this competition point of view, and a lot of people may not know the ins and outs on scoring, you know, from that. So in gymnastics, a lot of times it's a landing. You have your movements plus there's a landing. Is there a score plus or minus for a landing or no?
So it's like in calisthenics, it's more, it's freestyle.
Yeah.
So the judging isn't exactly, it's not as structured as gymnastics.
Yeah. So if you were going, this is where we're going, you're going to tell me the answer, obviously, is that I'm the doctor, I understand fractured ankles and stuff. 6 weeks to let everybody know you're not in great shape to be running marathons and probably doing this.
No.
So with that being said, was it a 1 foot landing that you tried to do? And
no, I just didn't do any dismounts.
Okay, gotcha. And
so
you
don't have to do a dismount.
Gotcha.
If you do dismounts, though, you do get scored higher. Like they do give you some more points because it's all about the entry, the combo itself, and the exit, right?
Gotcha.
And
so you didn't get an exit.
I didn't do that. I just went all in on my strength, and then whatever moves I had, whatever combos I had, that's what I did. So
you went down there.
That last week, I trained everything all together, and then did the competition. I lost the battle, but I won the mental war. You know, I won the battle in my mind.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
You know, so that was the warrior mindset right there, bro.
Right there.
And so that was 2018. After 2018, my buddy was like, "Hey, come to Ecuador." Because at this time I joined a team called West Coast Warriors, which is based in LA.
Oh, right.
And so they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff in LA. They're like mainly a competition team.
You were coming in to see me by then, right? Because I think I remember you going to Ecuador. 18?
When I came
19?
back from Ecuador, I came to see
me. Yeah. For your back, just tune-ups.
Yeah, for my shoulder, because
that's right.
Yeah, because I'll get to that. So 2018, my buddy was like, "Hey, Mauricio, his name is Mauricio. He's on West Coast Warriors. He's from Ecuador. He came out, you know, did some stuff, went to UCLA, and then went back. But he started a gym in Ecuador, in Ambato, Ecuador. And he was hosting a competition. He wanted all of us. We did a competition where all the West Coast Warriors would battle the Ecuadorians. So he'd battle all the Ecuador guys, or all of the, and dude, there was like some high level dudes. Like there was like these guys were just so high level. It was insane, you know, so we had to train hard. And so this was in 2019, flew out there. I didn't get to compete in that competition because the night before I was training one of the moves. I was training for the competition. I was in it. I was warming up some of my moves the night before, which I shouldn't have been doing anyways. I got hyped up on the other dudes who were there throwing 720s.
I'm getting in.
All these crazy stuff. And I was like, oh, let's go. You know, I got to make the most out of this, you know, because I was only going to be there for a week, which turned into a month and a half. But anyways, I ended up like messing up my shoulder on one of the moves or whatever. So I legit couldn't even hang on the bar the next day, which I was so pissed. But, you know, I was there and I coached people out there. I learned Spanish and was coaching people in Spanish a little bit. I'm not fluent in Spanish, but I know a little bit, you know, un poquito. But we were out there coaching people in Spanish, and we did a demonstration for some of the kids at one of the schools next to his gym. And it was just so crazy. That was one of the most life-changing experiences. I was like, dude, I could do this for a living, you know? And then shortly after that, they were like, so after a week, I quit my job because...
In construction?
No, I actually quit. I quit the construction job when I rolled my ankle. I was like, I'm just not going to do this anymore because I want to use all my strength and energy for calisthenics. And so I wanted a job that would actually supplement my calisthenics to get me better at calisthenics. You know, I was like...
Oh, and then you were training people.
I didn't start training people yet, no. Oh. So I was... 2019, I started training people. But at this time, I started picking up a couple classes at the playground. I started coaching some classes and stuff. And then getting ready for Ecuador.
Little kids?
Yeah. And then... when I was in Ecuador, my main job was Verizon. I worked at Verizon selling phones. Oh. I quit my job while I was in Ecuador, and I bought a separate flight like a month and a half out.
Right.
Because I wanted to stay longer. I ended up getting my wisdom teeth out there, and you know, it was
Do they get good dents over there?
it was
Is
dude,
it pretty good?
dude, it was $100 a tooth, and they banged them out in like 5 minutes.
Yep.
They're
And
like,
sent
okay,
you on your way.
okay, we're gonna just push on your tooth. Let me know if it hurts. And I was like, oh yeah, it doesn't hurt. And they're like, okay, one more. And it's like, let me know if it hurts.
Popped it out.
And then they're like, and I was like, okay, yeah, it doesn't hurt. Are we ready to go? And they're like, oh no, you're done. And I was like, what? And then my teeth were just sitting there on the table.
Yeah.
I was like tripping.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, this
So he didn't have a pair of pliers with his foot on your chest?
no. So
It'll only take a second, Bobby.
yeah, so yeah, that was Ecuador. The last week of Ecuador, they actually had a tournament to compete in. And we were first going to go there to judge the competition
Right.
because it was going to be more of like an amateur competition.
And you're kind of like a guest judge.
Yeah, we were going to be a guest judge.
Yeah.
And that was like going to be a really cool experience for me. But then one of the athletes didn't show up to the competition. And so they asked one of us to join the competition. They asked me to join. And so it was a 16-man tournament. And I was like, are you sure you want me to compete? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll compete, you know?
Yeah.
And then this is the first time I was the foreign competitor.
Yeah.
And I was like, I felt weird, dude. I was
Yeah.
like, bro, I'm a foreign competitor. You know,
Yeah.
all these people are from here. I'm not from here. They're looking at me like, oh, this
Let's see what
US
he's
guy,
got.
you know, and everyone,
Yeah.
all eyes are on me. And I
Yeah.
was like, dude, it was a cool experience. But I ended up taking first place because, I went hard.
Yeah.
You know, we were
Do
training,
what you had to do.
you know, because the elevation is higher out there
Yeah.
too. So we were getting some cardio gains and stuff.
Yeah.
But that was my first tournament win, was in Ecuador in a 16-man tournament. Won first place. So that felt pretty good. A couple days later, flew back, and I was getting ready for another competition, which is going to be Battle of Bars again.
All
And
right.
so I was
Back in San Diego.
this is going to be San Jose.
Oh, San Jose.
So I was getting ready for Battle of Bars again. This was going to be an 8-man tournament for $2,000, but it was a Dubai qualifier. So whoever won this got to fly to Dubai to battle the world's top athletes, you know, and I was getting ready for this comp. I was on point. I was on my P's and Q's. I was winning this competition. And it was one of these days when I came back from Ecuador, I got a job at Costco. Working Costco, I was running the carts, 25,000 steps a day, running the carts and then training and stuff, you know. And then after 30 days, I got cut from Costco because I did a handstand on the shopping cart, and they don't allow that. So anyway,
Wait, there's one. If you look up at his Instagram, I think there's one. Were you at the?
I was at Walmart.
At Walmart.
Yeah.
He's at Walmart. He does. I mean, how many views you get on that one? Like a million?
I got 5 million views.
5 million views. Yeah.
They posted that on World Star,
Yeah.
Sports Center.
Yeah.
Like they posted that on all the biggest channels.
Yeah. It's just handstand off a freaking shopping cart.
that was-
Right in line, no less.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Yeah.
no, but the thing was no one's even paying attention to the
No,
background.
nobody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
nobody.
That was funny.
That was the funny part.
But yeah, so I was doing that. We did that for so long, so many years. Like I've had so many videos like that, but it wasn't until that video where it blew up.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
that's all it takes.
That's
All it
why I was
takes is-
confused because I was
Yeah.
like, dude, I posted this video before of me doing a handstand on a shopping cart. Why was it
Yeah.
this video?
Yeah.
But whatever, you know.
Maybe Walmart.
Yeah,
Maybe,
but
you know.
anyways, got cut from my job at Costco. Then I was like, oh, let's go. I get to train with my friends.
Yeah.
You know, because I was training by myself because I couldn't make it
'Cause
to
of
any
time
of
frames.
the,
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
make it to any of the sessions. So I was like, oh, I get to train with my friends. Go to the gym, and I do a combo or a move that I didn't really warm up for. And I ended up clipping my feet on the bar, and I held onto the bar and unwinded like this, and then boom, snapped my shoulder. And I got, dude, this is a turning point right here. I was like getting ready for this competition. I literally went outside and I cried because I was just like, dude, this sucks. You know, I was like, and then
Injury upon injury.
I went from doing full planche press, which was my dream move. It was the hardest move that I ever done, was a full planche press, one arm handstand, come back down, hold. Like I was just going crazy, especially at my weight at the time, you know, which is like 185. But, you know, so when I injured my shoulder, I got so mad because I couldn't even lift up a water bottle. Like I couldn't even go like this.
Yeah.
And my shoulder was so jacked up. That's when Tomas recommended me to you.
Yeah.
I came into you. But before I went to you, I was going to doctor to doctor to doctor. I got 2 MRIs. I got one without contrast, one with contrast. And they were just like, they gave me a call back. Hey, we don't really know what's wrong with your shoulder. It could be, it could be this, it could be that, just do some rehab, and pray for the best or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we can do surgery if you want. And I was
If you
like,
want.
no, I don't want surgery,
I don't know what it is, but we can go and do surgery.
And I was like, okay, yeah, thanks a lot, doctors.
Not really sure.
Thanks a lot, bro. So, but then Tomas was like, hey, bro, you got to go to Doc Joe. He's the best in town. This guy, he'll get you in. I'll tell him I sent you, and you're gonna be good. He knows what he's doing. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, bet. I come in, I meet Doc Joe, and he was the first doctor who told me, oh yeah, you should be good. You should be back in like a couple months. And I was like, really? Like, it's like I was the first yes I got, because everyone was like, you can't do calisthenics anymore. It's like, bro, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not listening to you, bro. I'm trying to do this again. I'm not taking no for an answer, But you're the first guy who gave me a yes, where I was like, okay, now I have hope, And I came in, he gave me a little adjustment, and he's like, all right, you can go in the gym if you want, and try it out. I was like, what do you mean try it out? Don't you want me to rest? He's like, no, dude, just go test it out, see how it feels. And I was like, this is my guy right here, like I like this guy, And so ever since then, I started going to you for adjustments and whatnot. But
it's funny how that, and just to let the folks know and out there and listening to this podcast, I did pay him a lot of money to say that. So I just want to put a disclaimer there that he gets paid for saying that.
Yeah, I'm retiring now.
No, but it's funny, I think, it's really interesting. I have a different perspective. I think, my time in the military, especially in the special forces, things like that. And then I have the degree in the education, undergraduate education, exercise physiology. I've been a competing athlete to this day.
Yeah.
At a little older age, but I don't give up.
You just say your age, Doc.
Yeah, I know. At a different point. It's 60 and change. But, I'm always competing. I'm always trying to figure out, like, what makes people tick and what makes, things going on with the body. And when we took a look at his shoulder and we were able to look at the MRIs and mine is always less is better.
Yeah.
Right. So with yours, we knew that there, I had the MRI. So it was like, we know there was nothing wrong structural, no tearing of any ligaments or tendons or muscles and whatnot. And I think we just did a bunch of tissue work, set the ball and socket into its place a little bit better because of the way the mechanics of kind of pulled it out of place, if you will. And I can't really remember, you would know better than I would, but, I think when we sent you out, the range of motion was a lot better right away.
Yeah, it was a lot better right away.
Or
that rehab exercise where you kind of just do little circles with your shoulder.
Yeah.
I was barely able to do that.
Yeah.
Like when it first happened,
Yeah.
and so I was just like, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do it anymore, but I was just looking for that hope. I was looking for that, like, yes, like, yeah, you should be able to do this. And
it's interesting because, you guys, as we have been interviewing over this last hour or so, he's got this hat on, it says faith. And I have this huge foundation for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer, in Jesus Christ, and, I got into this profession, it was funny. I tell this story all the time is the fact that, in Christianity and things like that, people talk about, that epiphany where, they've received Jesus into their life and what is my calling? Some people knock on doors, some people go to missions, some people teach other kids and things like that. It wasn't until later in my life or in my career where I figured, man, you know what I get to do every day? I get to lay hands on people every day, bro.
That's crazy, dude.
And it's one of those things where I feel blessed every day because a lot of it's not me. So when these other doctors and things like that may not have the faith, I don't, it's not my judgment on who they are and what they do and what they believe. But I know when you come in this door and we're on my table, I have this firm belief that, I'm put on this earth for people to make sure that their temple, and when you see him compete, you'll see some of his videos when we'll put them on during this podcast. This guy's a temple. He's a believer in Jesus Christ. He believes in what he believes in. And my job is to make sure that his temple, his body, is functioning properly. So if he goes out to my gym and he's talking with some of the young kids, he has that faith he presents to the public. When he's out competing, on competitions, that's his mission.
Mm-hmm.
Mine is behind the closed doors. I put Humpty Dumpty back together again, put all things back and I send them back out, But my job is to lay hands on people. I'm just basically a conduit.
Yep.
So when we worked on your shoulder, I couldn't tell you what it was right now, but I just know we worked on it. And it was like one of those things, I had the faith in what I do. He had the faith in coming to see me through a referral. And it's been a couple of years now. That we've been working. You get injuries on and off, but that 3 years? Maybe 4 years?
It was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is I didn't even believe in God at that point.
Really?
At that time, I didn't believe in God. I believed in the universe.
Yeah.
So, I was like smoking weed every single day. It's crazy because when you start going to, Venice Beach or you start going to some of these calisthenic competitions, bro, everybody chiefs, bro. I was like,
yeah.
What? I was like, these fools are hitting the blunt and then going on the bar and then doing all this crazy stuff. So as a young kid, I was like, oh, I could do that too. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I started smoking every day. I started smoking like after all of my trainings, and, I had my pipe, I had my pens, I had all this, started smoking weed all the time. And then I started getting into mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I started taking the magic mushrooms and doing the psychedelic stuff.
Yeah.
And I was eventually like, we also took like, I tried a little tab, a little LSD tab one time. And I was going down that path where I was going down the rabbit hole of like the psychedelics. And I believed in the universe and that
so
was a God.
We'll stop there because I wanted to continue with this. So watch this. We started off this podcast just talking to him about brick and mortar. And, as we're finishing up here in a little bit, brick and mortar. And the mortar is the people in his life that have made him successful. Sometimes the mortar does not mix with the brick. And the mortar separates. You have to put a different piece of mortar in there. Somebody else comes into your life and fixes that. You go down the road. We made a left-hand turn, right, to go into the calisthenics. But then you go down that road. Nobody's saying this all peachy keen and all the whole time. There's different adversities that going on in our life.
There's
and
different paths.
On this earth, man, Satan's running the show, bro. And it's one of those things where those things come and tempt you. So then you get this another fork in the road. You've made some good successes along the way. You've competed. You got first place. You got some injuries along the way. But this is a major fork in the road, bro. Right now in this part of his story, which is really cool, which we're all going to get in a second here. What made you take the right instead of the left?
So in all of these things, right, like I knew, like I believed in the universe. At this time, I believed in that the universe was God and that everything working together is God. It's called pantheism. It's like, it's called New Age, or law of attraction and things like that. And that's where my mindset was. And that's what all my friends, thought as well. And that's just kind of like how he did it. And so, but I did know that there was a God. I just believed that it was the universe. I didn't think it was a divine being.
Yeah.
So I knew that there was something out there that was looking out for me. And that's why like I was like believing that my shoulder was going to be healed. And like I did hit that fork in the road too of like, am I still going to do calisthenics again? Like,
right.
Like I can either pursue calisthenics and still do it as like my job and my career and pursue it full time, or I'm just going to have to go get some other job, just do whatever.
Yeah, and that was before even smoking a weed and whatever. You took a fork before that. You took to be successful in the calisthenics.
Yep.
Then down another road. Gosh, damn it, there's another freaking
Because
fork.
I thought, I was like, oh, well, I could do this too.
Yeah.
I was like, I can just do all this together.
So where'd you figure out that it had to get away from the products?
Eventually I chose to do calisthenics instead of getting some random job because I just really wanted to do it. And I knew that if I put my whole being into healing my shoulder, that it would just get healed.
Yeah.
And I wasn't knowing who was steering my path or who was healing my shoulder or what was healing my shoulder. I didn't know that. I just knew that if I pursued it, that it would happen. I was like, man, the brain is powerful. It's going to do this or that, whatever. So during that process of my shoulder being out, I started picking up more classes at the playground. I started, I organized my own calisthenics competition. I came out with my own brand called Rub a Duck Gang or whatever,
that's right.
and I just did everything in my power to make this my full-time job. And eventually, you know, the the unemployment checks, you know, were coming in.
Right.
And then by the time the unemployment checks came out, it was tapering up that my earning capacity, you know, kept in with what I was getting from the unemployment checks and what I was making before. So that shoulder was actually supposed to happen to me so that I can do this full time. Once I started doing it full time, I started doing the classes, the boxing classes with Coach John.
Oh yeah. But when did you like not partake?
So when Coach John came into the when Coach John
your picture.
When Coach John came into the gym.
Next piece of mortar.
Right. Yep.
Coach John.
I started taking the boxing classes and the MMA classes. And I heard that this guy was this super wise dude, and you know, he's a Green Beret, Special Forces. You know, he was
we'll get him on the show
a pilot. Too. He was a Southern Hemisphere heavyweight, bare knuckle fighting champion. He was like all of these things, and I was like, and I heard that he was spiritual and that he knew about meditation. I heard that they do a meditation, and I was trying to learn how to meditate because I was like, dude, like all these monks, Shaolin monks and stuff, like these guys are doing like all these crazy feats of strength. You know, I was trying to tap into the spiritual, but it was for my own selfish desire. I wanted to tap into the spiritual so that I could elevate my competition or I could elevate my level in calisthenics.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that at the time.
And that's just me being honest, you know? And so I went to this class to learn about fighting and stuff and meditation and whatnot. And Coach John, he sits us all down and he's like, okay, what is meditation? Like, do you guys believe, he's like, what do you guys think meditation is? So I was like, well, you know, it's just a way to like center yourself or become one with yourself or whatever. And he's like, okay, you know, he asked everybody. He's like, meditation is basically a silent prayer where we connect ourselves to our higher power, who's, we're all triune beings and we're all made in the image of a higher power who's also a triune being. And I was like, triune being, higher power. I was like, I believe in a higher power. Like, what do you mean by triune being? Like, you know, he's like, what's a triune being? I was like, well, you know, it's like three, right? Tri. He's like, yeah, you know, we're all mind, body, and spirit, right? And we're connecting to a higher power who's also a triune being, which is God, Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. And I was like, oh, okay. So I know where you know, so, and I kind of told him what I believed at the time. And he just started like preaching. He didn't really preach. He just kind of like demonstrated it, you know, and I had so many questions. I knew that he was wise. I'm the type of dude to ask questions. And I like, you know me, like I'll ask questions. I'll ask your head off about all kinds of things, you know, and that's just the way I am, you know,
which is good.
When someone has more knowledge or more wisdom than me, I'm like, hey, whatever you say, you know, like I'll take it in and you know,
it doesn't matter how old you are, you still can learn something from somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I knew that he knew a lot and that maybe this guy knows something I don't. Maybe he knows a lot of things that I don't.
Yeah, the guy's been around.
He's been around.
When we get him on the show,
you guys will know, man.
Gosh, damn, this guy's crazy.
And so after the class, you know, I did the class, and the class, I had a jab. Right. My shoulder was messed up. So I was like barely able to do it. But, you know, I was like, I had a jab, use my shoulder. So it was still working my shoulder out. And I was doing it to heal my shoulder. And after the class, though, I was asking him about what he thought about the universe and
his faith,
all that stuff. And this is what he said. He said, he's like, okay, well, you know, you believe in the universe, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, you see this phone I have right here? I was like, yeah. He's like, it's a Samsung phone, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, if I get this Samsung phone and I throw it against the wall and it blows up into a million pieces, it's still a Samsung phone, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, same with the universe. Now everybody thinks the Big Bang, right? But who was the one who actually banged it? You know, and it was like, it's God. Like, it's not the universe, right? There's someone in control of it. He's like, the building is proof that there is a builder. Right. He's like, the building's proof that there's a builder, and the art piece, the painting is
from a painter,
the evidence of a painter.
Right.
And I was like, dude, no one explained it to me. No one ever explained that to me like that. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, what are your thoughts on, mushrooms or weed or like, I had literally asked him all
this
this
dude's
stuff.
in his 70s. And when you guys see him on here, the dude grew up in the 60s. Bro.
Oh yeah.
Like
dude.
he was a Woodstock type of guy.
And bro, he just told me all about it.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, I would stay away from all that stuff. He's
Yeah.
like, you want to be sober minded. You want to have a good head on your shoulders. You have a lot going on. You're trying to do all these things. He's like, doing all that is not going to get you where you want to go.
So here's another concept. If you want to have, a godly mind and you believe in Jesus, you believe that Jesus died for your sins, right?
Yeah.
You're building a foundation, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is you're building your temple, God is, your belief in whatever, your temple of God, right?
Yeah.
You try to build a temple.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea behind it is if your temple's foundation is on quicksand.
Yep.
That's what all the extracurricular stuff is. I
Yep.
can make that body look like this, and you could present yourself to, men and women and young children and educate them and whatever. But then you go home and then, it's the alcohol, it's the drugs, it's the food and whatever. Your foundation of your temple, your body, temple for God is on this shaky foundation or quicksand.
Yep.
It's not going to be as efficient to do its job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And one of the things he said was, well, your body is filled with the Holy Spirit,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when you accept Christ, you're filled with the Holy Spirit, right? Your body's a temple. And, the more you're smoking and doing all these things,
Beats it up.
you're not going to have as much of the Holy Spirit in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay. I guess I get that. I guess I understand
Mm-hmm.
that, and I tried it, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to cut out weed. I'm going to cut out vape. I'm going to cut out this. I'm going to cut out that. Like, dude, when I started reading the Bible, because I was all in the law of attraction and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
what I did was, because I read all these other books before, I never really read the Bible like that. Like I
Right.
grew up Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really read the Bible like to where I was seeking it. And I had so many questions about the Bible that no one really knew the answer
Mhm.
to. Like no one really answered any of my questions. And like we didn't really go to church. So I just kind of fell out of the faith.
Yeah.
So, but I read all these other books, like,
The universe and the law of
the
attraction
universal
and-
laws
Mhm.
and stuff,
Yeah.
or like the Magic Ladder to Success, or the Alchemist. I read like the Four Agreements and like all these books, which they have like good wisdom in there, And so I started reading the Bible and I started making correlations, like from what Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount and some of these teachings that were discovered through like philosophers and other things like that, right? And I was like, okay, well, if this Bible is true, I'm going to read it and I'm going to seek it and I'm going to see if this is the real thing. I mean, like, dude, if this is the real thing and I'm not on this, like if I'm not in good with God, then I'm doomed, bro. I'm going to be messed up.
You're off that gain train.
Definitely
Bro,
off
you're
the
off the
gain
gain train.
You're kicked
from
off of it, bro.
Jesus, that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. I'll make another point. Go ahead.
But I was like, dude, I was at a point to where I was like, you kind of have nothing to lose. It's like a calisthenics move. It's like, okay, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you don't know if
Until you
it's
try
going to
it.
work or not unless you try it. So I tried it and it worked. I started reading the Bible and I started making correlations where it's like, the law of attraction is like, manifest things, or like you have to believe that it's like, it's yours and you'll have it. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I started reading the Bible and Jesus says, whatever you pray for, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that it's already yours and it'll be done for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, like, okay, I kind of already believe that.
Yeah.
Like I started reading the Bible and everything that it said, I already kind of felt like that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And so my God turned from like being the universe or whatever, and like all these random books, which I had no idea what to look for. And I was like, oh, it's just this book. I was like,
it's funny. I think we talked about it just the other day. That book technically is 66 books.
A lot of books. Yeah.
A lot of books.
Yeah.
So it's like you have your encyclopedia. It's basically the Bible is an encyclopedia of 66 different, readings, if you will.
Yeah.
But, there's a good point. And you think to yourself, we're talking on this podcast about brick and mortar in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we're coming into finishing up with faith along the way. So what happens is you get this brick and mortar of this house that you put together that is your, temple.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go back to the fairy tales or the nursery rhymes and things of the big bad wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's Satan runs the world.
Yeah.
Right. That's the big bad wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people put their houses together in straw.
Yeah.
Some people put their houses, we got Huff and Puff and I'll blow your house down. There's two terribly built houses and then one that's built of brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we need to strive for in our life. Because if the brick and mortar of your house is secure, the big bad wolf going to blow your house down and you're secure every night, the successes that you get from God, the successes you get from your family, the successes you get from your kids, in your case in the future, the idea behind it, or your business. Because when you go back to that home that was built on the brick and mortar of you yourself and your family and friends, of the mortar being in between, nothing's going to blow your house down.
When the storm comes, dude, you're still standing, bro.
You know what I mean?
And then everyone else's house is blown down, but you're still staying in the storm. Everyone's like, how are you still standing in the storm?
You know what you want to also be?
You're like, bro.
Here's another analogy, too, that I use all the time is the type of guy that Mark is, and he's working with young kids, and we'll kind of finish up with the kids program that he's working with. But you want to be like a lighthouse. Okay. So a lighthouse can handle any storm. Yeah. But all the time it's got a light. Yeah. Right. It's got a light around it. And it's getting bashed, by the sea and things like that. You'll get a hurricane, you'll get big heavy waves and, typhoons or whatever. But the lighthouse is always to bring it home, bring those ships home. And if you have that light always shining, I don't care what happens in your life, that lighthouse itself will handle any storm that comes your way. As long as you put it together, you have great faith in your life, and you're bringing people to your life to make them become more successful, they're going to enter that harbor a lot safer because you're the guy out there. You're the guy presenting the information. We're both out there presenting to people. When the storm gets heavy, we're still the guys with that beacon of light, and nothing's going to shut us off.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you're the person in your life that's actually causing the storm. You don't know it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like you have like this knife or this, you have like a boomerang, but you think it's a throwing axe. You think it's a throwing axe, but it's actually a boomerang. Yeah. And you're like throwing the throwing axe, trying to like do something with it, and it's like coming around and hitting you in the back. That's what it is, dude. Yeah. And then when you're exposed, like reading about Jesus's teachings, it's like Jesus is that friend that only wants the best for you, right? But that no one else will tell you because you like to do it. You like to live in your sin, right? Or you like to do the things that make you feel good because But it's that those are the things that is what all the cool people do. That none of those people are going to tell you not to do that or to stop doing it. That it's actually going to help you better your life. They're not going to say that because it's the cool thing to do. It makes everybody feel good, especially when everybody does it together. Yeah. Right. But Jesus is like, hey, bro, like if you do this, if you stop doing this, if you do this instead, then you know how much better your life is going to be. You know how much like you're going to cut off a lot of that baggage that you're going to get, and he's like that. He's like that friend. He's that dude who always wants the best for you, and
he's going to be straight up with you all the time.
And everybody thinks that it's like, having faith or like doing or not doing or whatever, that, it's just like, God's just going to lay the hammer on you every time you do something wrong, where it's like, nah, dude, he's there to help you. Guidance. And he's there to aid you in whatever circumstances you're at. He's going to meet you where you're at. It says when you draw closer to God, God draws closer to you. Mm-hmm. So, it's like, if you're trying to get closer to God, you want to know God, then it's like, just go after him, say, hey, Jesus, I need your help. God, whoever it is, like, I need your help, God. Yep. I need your help. Like Jesus, if you like, there's so many testimonies where they're just like cry out to God or cry out to Jesus, and they just 100%. Something crazy happens. Yeah. And it's like.
So on that note, the craziness you get with Coach John, and then you kind of building this camaraderie with him, learning some of these things from him. Mm-hmm. We'll kind of fast forward a little bit. And then you're coming into this facility here. And, I see, what he and the coach are doing and what you're doing with some of the private clients that you have on your own. Mm-hmm. Like, what is your goal? Like, what is your goal as we kind of tie up on this type of stuff? What is your goal that you see, for Mark? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And, where do you see yourself in, like, say, 10 years from now with this concept that you're kind of building?
So, what's crazy is I actually made a YouTube video. I made some YouTube videos, and it's called Hi Me in 5 years, Hi Me in 10 years, Hi Me in 20 years. And it's like, hey, Mark, by the time if you're in 5 years,
and you're seeing this,
and you're seeing this right now, you need to have this, and this, or whatever. It's just like whatever I think is going to happen.
That's a great way to, because people, diaries are a prime example.
Yeah.
And you put those things into fruition to where you just kind of, put it out there, then, obviously, the law of attraction, or if God, you're praying out there to, get some guidance, and, you put those goals out there, and you just check them off each time you succeed. It's like with the kids is, what's your goal? Cause he's got a great kids program. What's your goal with these young kids?
These young kids, like, my goal is to just shed more light on them and give them a better path in their life. Like, as a young teenager, they're trying to find who they are.
Yeah, it's crazy nowadays too.
Yeah, they're in a state where, they're in a state of being where they don't know what they want to do with their life. They have no idea what they're called to do. They don't even know that they have a calling.
Right.
They don't even know who they are, because they just really do whatever their friends do, and when you just hang out with your friends all the time, you don't really hang out by yourself or do things that you like to do. You don't know who you are.
Right.
And so these kids are literally just trying to find themselves.
Do you think, a lot of the guys, the young guys and gals that come in here, say 15, 16, 14, somewhere that, and that's, not a big age gap between you and them.
No.
But also too is, what do you, in this, say, for argument's sake, I want to make it easy math. You're 10 years ahead of these people here. Do you think there's a big difference from 10 years ago when you were their age on way society is?
Huge difference, dude. Oh, wait, when I was their age, on how society is? Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it was kind of, it's kind of the similar. So that's why I can relate to these kids so much.
And that's a great question that you give when our audience watches this.
It's just a little bit more extreme right now. But
Yeah, and then, society is totally. I was listening to this one TikTok. It was talking about this young lady's talking about where what was it? If you watched the series, Netflix series, Stranger Things, the Upside Down World or something like that.
I haven't watched a whole lot of that.
Yeah, I haven't watched it a lot, but I remember that phrase. The upside down. The upside down world, and that's, I think, where our society is right now. And I think it needs guys like yourself or guys like myself trying to put on this armor every day from this warrior mindset to change the next generation, or for myself to influence a guy like you that's an entrepreneur to become more successful. Keep your foundation in Jesus, keep your foundation in God, in family. And always doing right, by God and by yourself and your own laurels and things like that. But, with these kids, like what do you try to, give them? Like, what do you try to tell them as you're training them? Like, what are the little tidbits that you may give some of these young guys and gals?
So to answer the question of like what the mission is, the mission you have a mission statement. Mission statement, right?
Yes, sir.
Our mission statement so we opened that Triunity mentorship program. And this is honestly just my mission statement as a person, as a whole, and whatever I do, it's according to this mission statement. It's to strengthen the next generation, strengthen the discipline of the next generation in their physical, mental, and spiritual through health, wealth, and love.
Yeah.
So covering all the areas.
Yes.
All the avenues, physical, mental, spiritual. And we're doing it through health, wealth, and love.
Yep.
What is love? God is love.
Yeah.
Jesus is love. And so we're giving these kids love. We're giving these kids health, and we're giving these kids wealth. Health is wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God,
when you give them love, you're loving on them, you're exposing them to Christ or what Christ does.
Building their temples.
You're just, you're not even preaching the gospel. You're just living the gospel and demonstrating it. And, this is like, I remember when we started the program, I read a book in John where it says, the light shines in the darkness, but the darkness can't comprehend it. Right. And so John talks about being identifying with the absolutes. So in life, you have absolute things that are absolute and things that are relative. And what I learned, what God taught me, is every good thing in life is absolute because God is absolute. and everything else is relative. So darkness is only relative to
because of light.
Because the light that you shine.
Yeah.
If there's a dark room, you shine light in it, you turn the light on, there's no darkness.
Yeah.
Right? So same thing in our world. We live in a world of darkness. Mm-hmm. So if we're a bunch of candlesticks, we're a bunch of lighthouses, we're walking around, the more lighthouses there are, the less darkness there's going to be. So if we just like, rather than complicating it and like having to do all these things, all we have to do is just like invite the kids, like just hang out with us, like just come through, and, come get a workout in, come learn something new, come hang out with kids your age that are also looking for something better.
Yep.
Right. And that's what you got to do. You got to surround yourself with like-minded individuals. Like if you want to get better, you have to surround yourself with people who also want to get better. You can't be like, oh, I want to get better, and then surround yourself with a bunch of losers who go out
it's not gonna work.
They go out, they drink and they do all these drugs, or they're doing all these crazy things. It's like, where is that going to get you? It's going to get you in trouble.
Well, it's just like a magnet, right? You can't have a positive and negative, going together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you got to have, positivity, and that's where you want to stay. You don't want to stay towards any type of negativity. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think the program that you guys, you and Coach John are putting together, is a really noble, noble program. And I think, our generation of kids coming up nowadays need that and more.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of it. A lot of it is still kind of like the what can you do for me world.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I think you got people like yourself and like Coach John, a facility like Doc's Gym that just welcomes in anybody, to come in and get on the Doc's Gym, gains train.
Yeah.
And kind of get it done, because it's like this open and welcoming, type of facility. And this is why I try to get the people on in this community. And then as we grow, more influential people that that can educate our public as they see the podcast on, we challenge everybody to put that armor on every day, So in your instance, from your training, some of these young kids and things like that, and your own gains for yourself, you put that armor on every day. We thank God every day for being on this earth. It's what's that expression I use a lot of times is, hey, it's a beautiful day because I'm on the sunny side of the dirt. You know what I mean?
That's true, dude.
It's as long as I'm on a sunny side of the dirt, I'm making gains every day. Yeah. I'm trying to make, get people out like yourself to get out to the community to where, maybe people will see this podcast and, reach out to you for some of the, see what you're doing, and maybe, you can help them make the gains. But with that being said, we're going to kind of finish up here. And Mark, listen, bro, I really appreciate you, you coming in today. We're going to make sure that, my camera guy, Frankie, is going to get all your information and the contact information, out there. So when this podcast does go on the different avenues that we have, platforms. Yeah. Thank you. See, I'm the old guy, man. You guys know the terminology better than I do, But when we get it all out there, you'll have all this information. There's probably some pictures, some before and afters of what he's looking like now. He'll throw us some info. We'll tag it on there. But if you like what you've seen, hey, please listen, subscribe and like to our channel, the Warrior Mindset Podcast. This is Dr. Joe Martin saying thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.